Discover how one brave employee stood up to rudeness, revealing an incredible CEO in disguise. Jessica wiped the sweat from her brow as she bustlingly moved between tables at the Willow Creek Diner. The smell of fresh pancakes danced with the rich aroma of coffee. It was a Tuesday morning like any other, filled with small-town chatter and laughter, yet the air hung heavy with unspoken tension. As a devoted single mother, Jessica's day began before dawn, flipping pancakes for her kids, Chloe and Ethan, before trading breakfast for her waitressing apron. But after years of serving the same breakfast specials, she had grown accustomed to the muffled jabs from affluent customers who somehow thought their wealth gave them the right to belittle those beneath them. Just last week, a woman had handed her a dime for a tip, calling it generous. Today, she braced herself for another onslaught. As the diner filled with the familiar clinking of silverware, a businessman in a tailored suit interrupted her stride. "Hey, my coffee's lukewarm. Should I have to pay premium prices for cold coffee?" His voice sliced through the air, chilling her. The scorn in his tone sent heat flooding through Jessica's cheeks. She took a step back, heart pounding, holding her breath. Then, something ignited within her. Memories of her father's unwavering strength flooded her mind. He'd always told her to stand tall, that everyone deserved respect. Jessica straightened up. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice steady despite the quake in her stomach. "I'll get you another cup right away. But I ask for a little kindness, we work hard around here." The diner's buzz fell silent. Diners paused mid-bite, eyes wide. Her fellow waitresses exchanged anxious glances, fear and admiration swirling in the air. Jessica felt empowered, her heart racing as she lifted her chin. "We're not just waitresses. We're doing our best in a tough world. Everyone here deserves to be treated with respect." The businessman squirmed, momentarily taken aback. Jessica stood firm, her voice resolute, shaking off the scars of a lifetime of dismissive comments. The weight of her conviction filled the diner, the tension crackled like static. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Just then, a man in a baseball cap sitting in the corner, unbeknownst to all, was the CEO of the local business park. He had frequently visited the diner in search of an escape from corporate pressure, and Jessica's bravery struck a chord deep within him. He felt the flicker of hope for the values he'd yearned for in his workplace: respect, dignity, honor. Yet, amidst the quiet murmur of the lunch crowd, he wrestled with a knot in his stomach. Would this confrontation ripple outward? Would others rally behind Jessica? As the diner erupted again in low whispers and surprised gasps, he quietly contemplated how, if he could only find a moment to approach her, she might be the spark for a larger conversation on workplace respect. Meanwhile, Jessica stood tall, her heart racing with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. Could her bold move demand change? Did it make her a beacon of hope for others in her situation? Just then, she noticed a familiar face in the corner, a smile breaking through the uncertainty. As she reached for her notepad to take another order, she spotted a note slipping under her tip jar. "Keep fighting for all of us," it read, and her heart soared. Was the tide finally turning? What would she uncover next? Jessica took a deep breath, her heart still racing. The note lingered in her mind like a soothing balm. Keep fighting for all of us. It felt like a tangible thread connecting her to a community that often felt fractured. She glanced around the diner, noticing the small shifts in her regulars' faces: an approving nod here, a whispered word of encouragement there. Perhaps she wasn't just a waitress to them. Maybe she was becoming something more. As she moved to the businessman's table, she poured a fresh cup of hot coffee, careful to keep her tone steady. "Here you go, sir. Fresh from the pot." He looked up, a flicker of respect sparking in his eyes. He cleared his throat, his previous indignation softening. "Thanks. I appreciate it. A small shift, but Jessica felt it. This was the start of something new, not just for her, but for everyone who felt small under the weight of others' ruthlessness. She turned to get back to work, but her footsteps faltered. The CEO in the baseball cap was rising from his seat. Jessica caught his eye, and he motioned for her to come over. A knot of nerves formed in her stomach. What would he say? Would he scold her for standing up to his fellow businessmen, or would he, too, recognize the values they both craved? "Excuse me, Jessica," he said, his voice low as he leaned against the counter. "I just wanted to say, what you did was incredible. It took guts." Jessica blinked, a rush of color filling her cheeks. "Thanks, but no, really," he interrupted. "I mean it. I own the business park just down the road. Today's action reflects what I've wanted to instill in my workplace for years: respect and kindness." Her heart turned over. This could be a chance for real change, not just in the diner, but perhaps in the very essence of how people interacted in their town. "You mean, you really think it matters?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Absolutely," he said, carefully pulling off his cap to reveal neatly combed hair. "I've witnessed too many people disrespecting others, thinking they're above them because of their position. I want to change that. And you might be the perfect start." They spoke for a few more minutes, brainstorming ideas for creating a workplace culture that valued every employee. Each suggestion opened doors in Jessica's mind: a community meeting, a campaign for kindness, an event to gather the townsfolk who felt silenced. As their conversation wrapped up, he left her with his card. "Let us connect. I want to hear more about what you envision." Once again, a wave of exhilaration washed over her. The possibility hung in the air like the sweet scent of cinnamon from the kitchen. The crowd around her returned to their chatter, but the energy felt different, charged with purpose. Jessica's instinct told her this was a turning point. Not just for her, but for everyone who felt they had been blasted by rudeness and disrespect. "I'll be waiting for your call," the CEO said as he stepped toward the door, then paused. "And, Jessica, keep being brave." She leaned against the counter, still processing everything. What if she could inspire everyone who walked through the diner's door to stand up against rudeness? What if every small act of kindness sparked a movement? As she returned to work, the diner's atmosphere shifted. Patrons shared smiles and laughter. Jessica caught a glimpse of Chloe and Ethan in her mind, reminding her why she fought for more than just her own dignity. There was a lingering hope now, like the glow of a sunrise after a long night, but before she could settle into this new normal, the door swung open again. A group of loud, brash visitors, clearly from out of town, stormed in, their presence threatening to shatter the fragile peace. Jessica's heart plummeted. She took a breath, reminding herself of her resolve. Here we go again, she thought. Would she find the strength to stand tall once more? What would their rude comments bring? Would her newfound bravery withstand the test? Would she rise to the occasion once more? The bell above the diner door rattled, and chaos slipped in with the loud group. Jessica's grip tightened around the coffee pot as she watched the newcomers swagger to a booth in the corner. Their laughter erupted like an invasion, taking over the room. She could feel her stomach twist with nerves, but she reminded herself to keep breathing. "Just act normal," she whispered to herself, stepping forward with a forced smile. She approached their table, trying to appear calm despite the wave of anxiety crashing over her. "Welcome to Daisy's Diner. Can I start you off with some drinks?" The ringleader, a tall guy with a flashy jacket, looked up with a dismissive smirk. "What do you have that's not gross?" he said, casting a judgmental glance around. Laughter followed from his friends, a sharp sound that cut through the existing camaraderie in the diner. Jessica's heart raced. This was at the moment she'd been preparing for. She felt the weight of the note in her pocket, urging her to keep fighting. "Well, we have the best coffee in town," she replied, injecting warmth into her voice. "And our homemade pie is a fan favorite." The man snickered. "Homemade? That's rich. I bet it tastes like cardboard." His tone was laced with arrogance, and the laughter from his group exploded again. Jessica's cheeks flushed. She swallowed hard and met his gaze. You know, in this town, we really value being kind to each other. It's what makes our community thrive. A moment of silence hung in the air. The man raised an eyebrow, caught off guard by her directness, but soon his friend's laughter returned, drowning her words. Pfft, whatever. Just bring us some drinks, he waved her off, as if she were an annoying fly. Her resolve wavered, but the thought of Chloe and Ethan drifted back into her mind. I won't let them walk all over me, she thought, steadying herself. Actually, she said, forcing a smile as best as she could, if you order something nice, maybe you'll find you like it. You might surprise yourself. Another laugh erupted, but nothing like before. This time, it was mixed with murmurs from the other patrons in the diner. A table of regulars stared intently, their faces reflected admiration and a hint of pride for her sticking up for them. Are you serious? You want to give me advice? The man shot back, narrowing his eyes. Yes, I do, Jessica replied, the nerves lending strength to her voice. It's never too late to start being decent to one another, and it's definitely worth it when you think about how it makes others feel. She held her breath, feeling vulnerable but oddly powerful. His smirk faded slightly. She could see that her words had landed somewhere in his consciousness. The laughter from his friends turned into quiet whispers. They weren't laughing at her anymore. Wow, look at Miss Motivational Speaker here, he finally said, crossing his arms. What do you think this is, a field session? No, just a diner where I believe we all deserve respect, she replied, standing a little taller. Jessica stole a glance at the other customers. Her heart sang when she saw the CEO in the baseball cap, who had just walked back in, leaning casually against the counter. He met her gaze with a nod of encouragement, his presence a steady reminder of her strength. The brash man smirked again, this time a little less hostile. Fine. You win. Bring us your homemade pie. Let us see if it's actually worth it. As Jessica turned to the kitchen, a wave of relief washed over her. She had stood up to Rudeness. From behind her, she could hear the whispers of approval from the other patrons, uplifting and encouraging, but just as she began to feel victorious, the group's laughter transformed into something else entirely. A shrill yell broke through the diner. Someone was shouting, and Jessica's heart sank, wondering if she was about to face another battle. What had just entered the door now? Would her newfound courage be tested yet again? As she turned back, she braced herself for whatever was coming next. The door swung open, and a man burst in, his face flushed with panic. He scanned the diner with wide eyes, and Jessica's heart raced. He was unfamiliar, but the urgency in his voice cut through the chatter. Help! Someone's hurt. He shouted, hands shaking at his sides. The laughter in the diner faded, replaced by an uneasy silence. Jessica's heart pounded in her chest as her mind raced. She glanced at the group in the corner still seated at their booth, some of whom were now wearing expressions of disbelief. The tension in the air thickened like syrup, and she could sense fear rippling through the crowd. Where? Jessica called out, her voice steadier than she felt. What happened? The man rushed towards her, his breaths coming in quick gasps. At the park. A little girl fell off the swing. She's bleeding, and no one can get her to stay still. Jessica felt a jolt of adrenaline surging through her. She couldn't sit back. She thought of Chloe and Ethan, how helpless they might feel if they were alone. I'll go with you, she said, moving swiftly toward the door without a second thought. Wait, the arrogant guy from the booth called out, his mocking tone replaced with genuine concern. Are you serious? You shouldn't. Yes, I am. She snapped, cutting him off. She needs help. With each step toward the door, she felt the weight of the room behind her, the warmth of the patrons who gathered in silent support, urging her on with their quiet hope. Someone call for an ambulance. Jessica instructed the diners as she stepped outside into the cool air, the man close behind. The park was just a short distance away. As they ran, her mind flooded with thoughts of safety, healing, and the gut-wrenching fear of not being enough. The sound of laughter faded behind her, giving way to an unsettling quiet that amplified her racing thoughts. "Stay with me," the man said, slightly out of breath but determined. "What if it's worse than we think?" As they approached the park, the surroundings became chaotic, with parents shouting and children crying. Panic was palpable, changing from the laughter of earlier to desperate cries for help. Jessica spotted a small cluster of adults gathered around something, and her heart sank. "Is that her?" she asked, pointing toward the group. "Yes, that's her," he confirmed, speeding up his pace. When they reached the scene, Jessica knelt beside a little girl with curly brown hair sprawled awkwardly on the ground. Her pale face told a story of fear and pain that twisted Jessica's heart. The child's arm was bruised and scraped, the sight bleeding just enough to send a shockwave of urgency through her. "Hey there," she said softly, leaning closer. "You're going to be okay. I'm Jessica, and I'm here to help you." The girl blinked up at her, eyes full of trust mingled with terror. Jessica's own heart wavered but steadied as she felt an undeniable surge of hope. Behind her, the man fumbled for his phone, shouting for someone to stay back. The crowd shuffled, voices blending into a cacophony of concern and fear. "You're strong," Jessica whispered to the little girl, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "You're doing great. Help is on the way." Just then, she heard hurried footsteps, and her heart soared as she recognized the familiar figure of the CEO from the diner rushing to assist. He shouldered through the growing crowd, determination etched on his face. Jessica turned to the man beside her, realizing that in this moment, the diner's bravado and humor faded into the background. They were united by something far deeper. But as tension cracked through the air, she wondered if their bubbling camaraderie would be enough to bring peace when everything was on the line. Would their small community rise to meet this moment together, or would fear tear them apart? The uncertainty hung heavy as they waited for the sound of sirens, each moment stretching painfully before them. As the sirens wailed in the distance, Jessica felt a rush of energy coursing through her veins. She held the little girl's gaze, the innocent eyes flickering between hope and fear. "You're not alone. I'm right here," she reassured, feeling the warmth of her own conviction swell within her. The CEO knelt beside them, his face obscured by shadows, but his voice was calm and steady. "What happened?" he asked, assessing the situation in a flash. His presence seemed to radiate strength, and Jessica took a breath, grateful for another pair of hands. The swing she fell, the man who had led Jessica there stammered, his voice strained. She was swinging too high and just lost her balance. "Okay," the CEO replied, nodding. He gently lifted the girl's arm, examining the wound. Jessica could see the determination in his eyes. "We need to immobilize the arm and keep her still. Can someone bring a jacket or a blanket?" Immediately, a woman stepped forward, her hands shaky but solid. "I have a first aid kit in my car," she called out, rushing away to fetch it. As the CEO focused on the child, Jessica felt the weight of the reactions around them. Parents clutched their children, whispering frightened words, while a few brave ones approached, eager to help. The once chaotic park transformed into a collective effort, a tapestry of humanity uniting in a time of need. "Just keep breathing, sweet girl," the CEO said gently. "My name's Daniel. You're doing such an amazing job." His words acted like a balm, and Jessica admired the way he created a small world of calm amid the storm. In that moment, the little girl's tears began to flow. "It hurts," she cried, her voice cracking with the stress of fear and pain. Jessica rubbed her back in circles, whispering soft reassurances. "I know, but help is coming." Jessica's heart raced. Each heartbeat felt tied to the girl's fragile condition. Would it be enough? As nosy children peered curiously at the commotion, Jessica felt the crowd pressing in, their collective worry palpable. Minutes turned into what felt like an eternity. The distant sirens had shifted to sharp blares, echoing through the air, but all Jessica could focus on was the girl in front of her. A bead of sweat trickled down her neck as she willed herself to remain composed, even as panic threatened to creep back in. Finally, the first responders arrived. They moved with practiced expertise, taking over the scene. Daniel stepped back, helping to clear space for the paramedics. Pulses of relief surged through the crowd, but anxiety still lingered, tangible like a thick fog. The lead paramedic knelt by the girl, checking her injury and asking quick questions. Jessica watched, heart heavy, as they stabilized the arm, their calm demeanor soothing some of the surrounding chaos. Yet, just when she felt the tension begin to recede, she caught a glimpse of the man who had originally come for help. His face twisted in dread as he backed away, a raw fear enveloping him. "What's wrong?" Jessica asked, her voice hardly above a whisper, but focused on him. "Her mom, she's not here. I saw her running away just before the fall," he stammered, trembling. "What if she doesn't make it in time?" A collective silence fell over the scene, hearts clenching in solidarity. Dread wrapped around Jessica like a thick fog, the uncertainty consuming her. She exchanged glances with Daniel, both aware that more than just the girl's physical injury was at stake. Would they find the mother before it was too late? And how would it affect the girl's journey to recovery? In that instant, the fragile web of their lives intertwined tighter, each moment revealing just how far they would go to protect what they loved. But as they stood there, holding their breaths for the next sound of reassurance, the world outside felt as uncertain as ever. Time felt suspended, every second stretching out painfully as Jessica held the little girl's hand. Daniel was still by her side, his focus unwavering. As the paramedics worked, Jessica searched the crowd, eyes darting toward the park entrance, her heart racing at the thoughts of the girl's mother and her potential arrival. The little girl let out a small whimper, bringing Jessica's attention back to her. "I'm scared." Her voice was a fragile whisper, filled with vulnerability. Jessica squeezed her hand tighter, willing her own strength to transmit through their connection. "You're so brave," Jessica said, willing hope to take root in her words. "Look at all these grown-ups ready to help you. They're going to make you feel better." In the distance, Jessica noticed a figure approaching. She felt a spark of hope ignite within her, but as the person got closer, that hope quickly began to fade. It was just another bystander, anxiously chewing their lip. The girl's mother, where was she? "Can you tell me your name?" Jessica asked, trying to distract her. "Madison," the little girl managed between sniffles. "What a beautiful name. You know what? You're named after a city known for being strong and resilient. Just like you are, okay?" Madison blinked, her brow furrowing as if trying to reconcile the words with the storm of fear raging inside her. Jessica smiled gently, but the unease remained. Every minute felt like a countdown. Suddenly, a sob broke through the crowd. Some parents turned their heads, their expressions mirroring the apprehension that gripped Jessica's heart. A woman, frazzled and out of breath, sprinted into view. It was Madison's mother. "Madison!" she cried, rushing through the throng. As she reached them, Madison's eyes widened, and for a moment, time truly stopped. The little girl's face morphed from fear to pure, unfiltered relief. Jessica felt her own heart surge with overwhelming compassion as she leaned back slightly, giving them space. "Mommy!" Madison exclaimed, her voice slicing through the air, a beacon that drew her mother closer. Jessica watched, her throat tight, as the woman crushed her daughter into a hug, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry, baby. I'm here now." "I'm right here." Daniel, too, stepped back, a small smile breaking across his face. "You're going to be okay, Madison," he said softly, relief evident in his tone. "Your mom's got you." The atmosphere shifted from dread to hope, a palpable lightness breaking through the thick cloud of anxiety. The paramedics finished securing the girl's arm, their movements efficient as they prepared to take her to the hospital. Her mother, still holding her tightly, nodded fervently toward them. "Thank you. Thank you, all of you." The crowd began to disperse, whispers of admiration and praise ringing in the air. In that moment, it wasn't just the relief of a child being reunited with her parent that filled Jessica's heart. It was the sheer humanity, the reminder that in times of panic and chaos, communities often rise together. But as Madison and her mother were led away, Jessica felt a pull inside her chest, a lingering sense of urgency, as if something was still left unfinished. Daniel turned towards her, eyes searching hers. Do you think she'll be all right? Jessica asked, though deep down she feared what the answer might be. She has her mother now. That's half the battle, Daniel replied, his voice steady but anxious. Still, as the sirens faded into the distance, Jessica couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had intertwined for more than just a moment. She piqued a curiosity inside her. What was it that connected them? Can we find out what happened after? She blurted out suddenly, surprising herself. Daniel's brow raised, a glint of surprise sparking in his eyes. What if we could? He mused, a smile inching across his lips. But even as they considered this, a shiver ran down Jessica's spine, an unspoken awareness bubbling under the surface. What were they walking into next? And as they stepped away from the park, the world around them blossomed into vibrant life. Each face they passed holding a story of its own. Jessica and Daniel walked through the park, the air still buzzing with the chaos that had just unfolded. Faces that moments ago were filled with anxiety now wore expressions of relief. Children ran freely, laughter peppering the atmosphere, yet Jessica felt a weighted silence in her heart. What do you think we should do? Daniel asked, his brow furrowed in thought. The question lingered, heavy with possibility. I don't know, maybe we should just head to the hospital, Jessica suggested, a mix of determination and fear coursing through her. I feel like we need to check on Madison. Daniel shifted his weight, glancing back at the entrance where Madison and her mother had exited. It could be a long shot, but I get it. Let us go see if we can find them. They made their way to the nearby hospital, the mood shifting from that of community reassurance to an anxious anticipation. The hum of the city around them faded into the background as they approached the sterile building, where every corner felt filled with uncertainty. Inside, the waiting room was a blur of activity. Families huddled together, some nervously tapping their feet, others whispering comforting words, trying to shield themselves from the heartache that filled the air. Jessica's pulse quickened as she scanned the room, searching for the familiar sight of Madison's frazzled mother. Do you really think they'll let us in? Daniel asked, uncertainty creeping into his voice. We won't know until we try, Jessica replied, her resolve hardening as she approached the reception desk. The woman sitting there was busy, furiously typing. Excuse me, Jessica said, her voice trembling slightly. The receptionist looked up, irritation flickering in her gaze. Yes? We're here to see little Madison. She was just brought in. Can you tell us which room she's in? The receptionist's expression softened just a bit but quickly returned to business mode. You'll need to register. Here's a form, she replied, handing Jessica a clipboard, leaving them to their own devices. As Jessica filled out the form, Daniel leaned against the reception desk, glancing around to see if anyone else nearby could help. To his left, a group of parents sat, visibly worried, but it was a young woman across the room who caught his attention. She had a vibrant aura, despite the somber surroundings. Hey, he whispered to Jessica, nodding toward her. What about her? Jessica met his gaze and nodded. With renewed determination, they approached the woman. Excuse me, Daniel said gently. We're looking for Madison. Do you know her? The woman's eyes brightened, and she nodded vigorously. Yes. I saw her get admitted. I was just in the children's ER when they brought her in. I think she's going to be fine. Jessica sighed in relief. Do you know what room she's in? Room 312, she said, pointing down the hallway. But you'll need to sign in first, and it might take a minute. They're busy with several kids. Oh, we can wait, Jessica said, her heart lifting a little. As they began to make their way toward the elevators, hearts eager with hope, Jessica could sense Daniel's curiosity had shifted. He had a question looming, hiding beneath the surface. What do you think it must feel like, being a kid in a hospital? One moment you're at a park, just playing, and then, he trailed off, his eyes thoughtful. It must be terrifying, Jessica replied softly. We can't forget the fragility of life. All that joy can be pulled away in an instant. Daniel nodded, contemplating. It was clear that the day had stirred something deep within both of them. They were becoming part of this greater narrative, woven into lives they had just brushed against. As they waited for the elevator, tension snagged in Jessica's chest. What they were about to step into, was it more than just a simple moment of connection? Maybe it was a call to action, to bring hope and resilience back into focus, not just for Madison, but for everyone who felt lost, like they had been caught in a storm. Suddenly, the elevator dinged. As the doors opened, Jessica felt that familiar shiver run down her spine. This was where their journey began to merge with something bigger. "Are you ready?" Daniel asked, stepping inside. "I guess we'll find out," she replied, just as the doors shut firmly behind them. But the question lingered: what awaited them in room 312? The elevator doors slid open with a soft whoosh, revealing a sterile hallway, bright lights shining down like stars in a small universe. Jessica's heart raced, each beat pounding in her ears. She stepped into the corridor, taking a deep breath of antiseptic air mixed with the faint hint of a floral air freshener. "Room 312 is straight ahead," Daniel said, his voice a firm whisper, as if he were trying to keep the weight of their journey to a minimum. They shared a determined glance, each step feeling like a leap into the unknown. As they walked, the hurried pace of nurses and doctors moved around them, their faces set with purpose. Jessica couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Suddenly, she was pulled from her thoughts by a small child's laughter echoing down the hall. It was a beautiful sound, one that momentarily pierced through the tension surrounding them. They reached the door labeled 312, and Jessica hesitated, her hand hovering just above the handle. Would Madison be okay? "Let us just see her. She might need us," Daniel encouraged, gently nudging her forward. With a quick nod, she opened the door and stepped inside. The room was bright and filled with medical equipment, beeping monitors, a cozy bed adorned with cheerful cartoon sheets, and colorful drawings on the walls. But what struck her most was Madison, her small frame tucked under blankets, her cheeks flushed but looking peaceful. "You made it!" Madison exclaimed when she spotted them, her eyes lighting up like fireflies. Jessica rushed to her side, relief flooding through her. "Oh, sweetheart, we were so worried. How are you feeling?" Madison gave a small, brave smile, but Jessica noticed the fear lurking behind it. "I'm okay, just a little tired. The doctor gave me a cupcake for being brave." "A cupcake?" Daniel echoed, his eyes twinkling. He leaned down closer to her. "Sounds like you're the bravest kid around. Are you going to share any of that cupcake with us?" Madison giggled, her laughter a sweet melody. But Jessica caught a glimpse of reality: the nurse adjusting the flow of medication, the doctor in the corner discussing something serious with Madison's mother, who sat, tense and pale, in the chair nearby. Jessica's heart sank. Even amidst laughter, pain was woven into the tapestry of this room. She glanced at Daniel, who was engaging Madison in a game of pretend, blissfully unaware of the sorrow surrounding them. She felt a tug in her chest. This was not just about Madison but everyone whose lives were touched by moments like this. A soft knock on the door drew their attention. Madison's mother entered, her eyes tired but lighting at the sight of Jessica and Daniel. "Thank you for coming," she whispered, her voice cracking slightly. "It means so much to Madison." Jessica stepped forward, reaching out to hold the woman's hand. "We want to be here for her. She's so brave." Madison chimed in with a smile, "I'm going to be just fine, Mom. I even got a cupcake." The warmth in the room was palpable, yet Jessica couldn't ignore the undercurrent of fear. It was the same fear she felt in the park: fragile, unpredictable. As hope bubbled inside her, she knew their encounter extended beyond this moment. Daniel crouched down again, his expression serious yet kind. "You've got a great team here, Madison. And we'll be visiting you more, won't we?" Madison nodded enthusiastically, her spirit shining through the haze of illness. Jessica felt an awakening, something stirring deep within. It was a call to rally for joy, to reclaim laughter in the toughest of times. As they lingered by the bed, sharing stories and laughter, Jessica realized how this unexpected connection could spark something they never anticipated. But just then, a doctor stepped into the room, a serious look on his face. "I need to speak to Madison's mother, please." The air froze. Jessica's heart beat loudly as she exchanged uncertain glances with Daniel. What could this mean? Did they have more to face than just cupcakes and courage? The moment drifted, hanging like a delicate thread, teetering on the edge of good news and bad. What awaited them next? Truths that could change everything. Madison's mother nodded slowly, her hands gripping the arm of the chair. She cast a cautious glance toward the doctor, whose expression was unreadable, a professional mask of concern. Jessica held her breath, sensing a crack forming in the warmth that had just filled the room. Can you wait outside for a moment? The doctor asked, his tone gentle but firm. Madison's mother rose quickly, a flicker of fear crossing her face, but she complied. Jessica could see the unease etched deep into her features, every moment stretching into eternity. Mom! Madison called out, her voice small and pleading, laced with uncertainty. It's okay, sweetie. I'll be right back, her mother replied, forcing a smile. The door closed, leaving Jessica and Daniel standing with Madison, who stared at them with wide, innocent eyes. Why did Mom leave? She asked, her little fingers twisting the blanket nervously. I'm sure it's just for a quick chat, Daniel said, kneeling beside her again. Doctors talk to parents all the time. It's how they share information. Madison nodded, but the worry clung to her. To help soothe her fears, Jessica picked up a crayon from the table. Want me to draw with you? Madison hesitated. What should we draw? How about a big cake with 100 candles? Jessica suggested, her own heart heavy yet determined to keep the mood light. Madison beamed at the idea. And make it colorful, like a rainbow. As they started to draw, Daniel began to tell a silly story about a cake that came to life. Laughter bubbled out from Madison, filling the space that had felt so heavy just moments before, but the laughter was short-lived as Madison's mother returned, her face pale and shadowed, the doctor close behind her. Jessica felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. The doctor maintained his professional demeanor, but Jessica noticed the slight furrow in his brow. Madison, the doctor began, crouching down to the girl's level. We need to talk about your results. It's really important that you understand. Jessica exchanged a quick glance with Daniel, both bracing themselves. This was the moment where everything could change. The room filled with a tension thicker than before, and Madison's laughter felt like echoes from another world. Results? Am I getting a prize? Madison asked, tilting her head in earnest confusion. The doctor took a breath. In a way, yes. You're incredibly brave, and we want to help you feel better. But there is something we need to discuss regarding your treatment. Madison's brow furrowed. Is it bad? Jessica leaned closer, her heart aching for the child's innocence. It's okay, Madison. Whatever it is, you've got a whole team of people who love you and want to support you. Right, Daniel? Absolutely. Daniel replied, nodding reassuringly. What matters is that you're so strong, Madison. We're all in this together. The doctor nodded. And we'll make sure you understand everything. You're not alone in this. Madison bit her lip, pondering their words. The room felt electric with uncertainty, and Jessica's mind raced. What truth would they reveal? As the doctor began to speak again, Jessica felt the floor beneath her shift. She realized it wasn't just about a cupcake anymore, it was about resilience, a fight that lay ahead. Every moment of laughter and every painful truth blended together, creating a life that no one could predict, but what if that truth was harder than they all expected? Jessica's heart drummed loudly. The doctor's voice floated into her thoughts. We've identified a rare condition, but we have options. Jessica held her breath, knowing the next few words could alter their world forever. Would Madison be able to handle what was coming, and how would they all move forward from this moment together? The silence stretched, waiting for the moment of truth to reveal itself. The doctor's voice filled the room, each word landing like heavy stones on Jessica's heart. But we have treatment options. Jessica's grip on her own emotions tightened. Madison's innocent eyes searched the doctor's face, confusion clouding her features. Am I going to be okay? She whispered. Yes, my brave girl, the doctor answered, his tone soft yet firm. We're going to do everything we can to make sure you're well again. The reassurance seemed to straddle a tightrope between hope and fear, and Jessica felt the air thicken around her. Would Madison's strength hold? Madison glanced at her mother, whose eyes glimmered with unshed tears. You'll be with me, right, Mom? Her small voice trembled with the weight of her question. Her mother nodded emphatically, pulling Madison close. Always, sweetheart. We're going to face this together. In that moment, Jessica understood something profound. This wasn't just about a child needing help, it was about community, family, and the courage it took for everyone to face the uncertainties of life. She felt a burning desire to do more to keep fighting, not just for Madison, but for all the Madisons out there who needed strength and reassurance in bleak moments. Daniel, sensing Jessica's resolve, stepped forward. And we'll be with you, too, he said, his voice steadying the air. You've got a whole neighborhood behind you, Madison. We'll bring cookies, visit, anything you need. Madison's face brightened a bit, a glimmer of joy shining through the clouds of uncertainty. Really? Cookies? Jessica couldn't help but chuckle, and as the tension in the room wavered, a collective sigh of relief washed over them. Madison was strong, and this was a hurdle they could all clear together, the doctor continued, outlining treatment plans and support systems, while Jessica listened intently. Her heart swelled with each passing moment. They were on the brink of something bigger here, a community poised to rally around a small girl who, with her laughter and innocence, had already drawn them together. As the discussion wrapped up, Jessica felt a new urgency in her heart. I want to organize something, she blurted out. A community event. Something to raise awareness, maybe even fund a treatment for kids like Madison. Daniel's eyes widened, and admiration flooded his expression. That's brilliant. We can gather everyone from the diner, local businesses, and parents. It'll be a chance to show support. Yes. Madison chirped, her voice light as air. And we can have cupcakes. Laughter wove through the air, a sweet sanity amidst the storm of uncertainty. Jessica felt like she was seeing a future unfold, one where they could uplift each other and forge connections that stoked hope. Each idea sparked a connection. They wouldn't let fear control them, instead, they would channel it into action. The momentum began to shift. Let's sit down and make a plan, Daniel said, his enthusiasm infectious. And we'll make sure Madison is right in the middle of it. Madison's eyes sparkled with delight, her small hands twisting as she imagined the festivities. Jessica felt a thrill in the depths of her chest. This was no longer just about her struggle, it was about a community, a movement, a partnership in resilience. As they gathered around Madison's bedside, discussing possible plans, the spirit of unity grew. Their laughter echoed through the room, nurturing the bonds forged by shared understanding of vulnerability. Together, they launched into brainstorming all the ways they could uplift Madison and others, turning anguish into action. Let's make sure we include an art booth for kids, Madison suggested. They can paint rainbows. A bake sale for homemade cupcakes, Jessica added. And maybe even a talent show? Daniel proposed, his excitement palpable. Count me in. Madison cheered, her energy rejuvenating those around her. Soon, the room buzzed with ideas. And with every suggestion, a flicker of hope ignited, leading all of them to realize that they were more than just bystanders, they were part of something that could shift the tide of their community. As they stepped out of the hospital hours later, the sun was setting, casting warm golden rays through the streets of Willow Creek. The beauty overhead contrasted the weight of their day, but a sense of newfound purpose filled the air. Let's take this momentum back to the diner, Jessica said, her spirit radiant. We've got people to gather, ideas to share, it's time to turn this fear into action. Across the parking lot, Daniel nodded fervently. We'll light the way for everyone. It's about community now. And as they made their way back to the diner, a powerful bond stitched together by empathy and courage surrounded them. Jessica felt the buzzing heart of her small town alive, united, and resolute. They would stand tall against rudeness, embracing vulnerability, and uplift one another in times of need. This was the start of something new, a beacon of hope to light their way. Now, more than ever, Jessica found herself believing in the power of community. Their laughter, resilience, and love could weather any storm. And together, they would find a way through, one step at a time. You need to subscribe now to witness how this story unfolds and transforms lives. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about Madison's journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.